Dear friends, this is Kardec Radio at 11 p.m. in our study of Harvest of Light, Ceifa de Luz. This book that was psychographed by the Spirit Emmanuel through Chico Xavier in 1972, and it was published in 1979. This book brings to us unprecedented messages that we have never heard of, with clear instructions, guidelines for a more fulfilled life. And you may be asking, why do we need this? Because we forget. Because as the Spirit said to Kardec, as it is published in the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, in the third part of the book about the moral and divine laws, we've come to know that often we forgot or we despised the laws of God. We just kept it aside. We didn't feel the need to gravitate towards it, consciously speaking. So then God sends messengers, people who are ahead of us, reminding us of the need to fulfill our laws, the laws of God that are our laws. Yes, when we're children, it's so interesting because when we're little, we feel that our parents' laws, our parents' rules are our parents until we grow older and we absorb the very same principles or guidelines, and then we understand it's ours as well. The laws of God are our laws as well. Yes, they are. They belong to us. They are in our conscience. They are images. And we are now studying message 31. Besides the preface, which is a prayer for light. This message on chapter 31 is titled Affliction. And we often don't like to hear about it, affliction. But it's our daily theme. Because we're living in a school where we have a lot to learn. And to learn waking us up. Usually when you watch a baby, the baby likes the comfort of the sleep, the loving care, the food. But then when you have to wake up and dress up and get them out of the comfort zone, they often feel afflicted. And the same happens to us in our daily lives. When we are invited to our new life, to the new, to get out of the comfort zone, to what we know, to the unknown, even if it's a better thing, we don't know what it is. And how do we feel? Afflicted, anxious, or depressed, sad, bothered. There's so many names. So let's talk about it, shall we? Welcome, friends. Welcome, dear soul. So let us begin, okay? Chapter 31, Affliction. And Emmanuel quotes from 2 John, chapter 1, verse 8. Watch yourselves. Emmanuel then begins explaining. Each individual returns to earth with the affliction that concerns their regenerating struggles. Affliction that expresses the reborn past, or affliction that defines the active debt in the divine accounting. Here, it is sickness which time will inevitably bring, whenever necessary, to the field of our lower impulses. There, It is the social condition full of thorns in which we will adjust the guidelines and the thoughts, our guidelines and our thoughts. Beyond it, affliction is the domestic temple, which is transformed into a crucible of distressing pains, warming up emotions and ideas so that simplicity takes us back to existence. In addition, affliction is the representative task in which the banner of the common good requires of us the broadest testimonies of understanding and renunciation, claiming from us an integral adjustment to the happiness of others before we consider our own happiness. Everywhere, the individual finds affliction viewed as a blessing in disguise, which proposes to us the most beautiful spiritual achievements for the upper sphere. However, if the earthly path is our saving struggle, we are in ourselves the great problem of life, since we're always interested in deserting the difficult work that will give us the treasure of experience. Duty deserters in the smallest modalities, we are always on the lookout for consolation and comfort, disputing excuses and moratorium with which we will only postpone indefinitely the execution of the services indispensable to the restoration of ourselves. Let us appreciate our opportunity for growth in the greater world, embracing in the constructive affliction of the journey the medicine capable of operating the healing itself, or the resource susceptible of throwing us to higher levels of evolution. Suffering to suffer is not enough. It is necessary to take advantage of the help of pain, turning it into a route of light. Therefore, as we are placed amidst the trials that mark the path of each day, let us constantly use the key of self-sacrifice in favor of peace and joy of those around us. For only by diminishing the trials of others will we be able to convert our trials into talents of love for the imperishable beatitudes. Breathing in and out, we're gonna go about, yes, what a deep message. I know all messages are deep, but this one, he begins by quoting John. When John, the evangelist, said, "Watch yourselves." Allan Kardec asked this question in the subsection that is called Moral Perfection. In the Spirit's book, he asked, what can we do to progress steadily and to avoid mistakes? And the Spirits answered, know yourself. What is pain? Let me share with you. In the study of neuroscience of pain, we understand pain especially in the studies of the scientists of the United States of America, there is a society of the American Pain Society, which is very reputable, and several neuroscientists have proposed that we understand pain as another sense in the physical body, like vision, like taste, like hearing, like touch, like smell. Why? Because pain is also a byproduct of a stimulus that is translated into a noxious perception. Emmanuel, in a way, in this message, he's telling us that pain is a signal that something is off. So next time we feel discomfort, instead of pushing it away, ask, what are you telling me? Like fever. When fever comes, wise are the parents who see their children undergoing fever and ask, what is going on? Why is the body raising the temperature? Something is happening. Fever is not the problem. It's actually a benefit. The body needs to raise its temperature because they are fighting. The immune system is fighting against a possible infection. When pain happens in our lives, it's a sign that something is off. Emmanuel then says, each individual returns to the earth with their very set of afflictions that will lead them to their regeneration. So, he's telling us with the thermometer of pain. Let's say this way, pain as a thermometer, as a signal that something needs to be worked upon, right? And he gives us the scenarios. Sometimes it's the very physical illness that will come, why? To modulate our lower impulses, he says. I'll give an example. The story of Mauricio Tessi. Yes, told by the Spirit Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier, and it's in a previous issue of the Spiritist magazine that I can't recall right now, but in that we've come to know that that man was sick as means to help him have more elevated thoughts, more elevated feelings, because whenever he was out of those elevated thoughts and feelings, the obsessors would approach him to protect him against the unneeded approach of the obsessors. The good spirits allowed him to go sick physically. Because what happens when we go sick physically? We pray more. We're more vigilant. We're more forgiving, more tolerant. We start dreaming again of the beauty of life. And we make promises. Oh, when I get better, I'm finally going to do this. I'm finally going to help that person. I'm finally gonna forgive that person. Da-da-dee, da-da-da. But do we usually fulfill it? So he's saying, the pain and the affliction in sickness serves a purpose to lower our bad tendencies. Are we marking it down? Let's mark it down. Second, in our social conditions, sometimes our social relationships become difficult. They are thorny, as he says, full of thorns. And why does it happen? Because we need to adjust our principles and our thoughts to be more agreeable, to be kinder, to be more loving, less filled with whims of previous conditionings of previous lives. So it's good that people don't do what we want them to do, that they don't obey our whims. Sometimes he's gonna say, in the family where we have distressing pains. Why? He says, because it's gonna take us to simplicity. We're going to be simpler, kinder, more filled up with goodwill, right? So the afflictions in sickness will modulate, like a dial, modulate our lower impulses. No wonder in our aging years, we're gonna experience a whole lot of it. Why? Because before we discarnate, we need to modulate our lower passions. The good spirits are wise, and this is a wonderful way to wake us up. And he says, in the tasks we need to fulfill, he says, which will make us adjust ourselves to the happiness of others, not only to our own happiness. Because sometimes in our daily work, in our daily life, in our job duties at work, for example, we are frustrated because we have to serve people, and we think, oh, I wish I were the boss. People would work for me and do what I want. You don't want that. In the Last Supper, you remember the passage when the disciples started discussing who was going to be the greatest after Jesus passed away. And Jesus was still there. And he stood up, changed the way he used his clothes to look like a servant, and started washing the feet of the disciples. They couldn't understand it. Peter especially was puzzled. And then Jesus said, the greatest must be the one that serves the most. So we don't want to be served any longer. We've been there, done that. It's an honor for us to serve, to find that daily honor, to serve people, to care for them is an honor. Our society still doesn't understand it. We still have this myth that the higher we go in life, the less we serve, the more we are served. And I remember once at the Spirit Society of Baltimore, I remember a person who was coming in for the first time. And usually, when we do our services on Saturdays, at the end of it, we clean up the center. We used to do that. And I used to help as well. and we had people in our team taking turns. And I remember this person who was new in the center stayed with us until the very end, past the service hours, and saw us cleaning up. Then this man came to me and said, "But aren't you the president of the center?" I said, "Yes." "Well, but aren't you supposed to let people do this?" I said, "Not in a Spiritist center. Because we follow the Master, Jesus Christ. In here, we're not served, but we join forces to serve." So, for us, it's an honor to clean. It's an honor to serve somebody. It's an honor to help. And we feel the joy because we are fully aware, as in the beautiful poem of gratitude written by Amélia Rodrigues through Divaldo Franco. Thank you, God, for my hands, because there are people who cannot use their hands. Thank you for my legs that can walk, that can dance, that can run, because there are people who can't. Please let me use it. Let me use them with wisdom so I can fulfill the tasks that others cannot temporarily, that others cannot do temporarily. In their tribute, may I use wisely the talents that you have conceded to me. So Emmanuel is telling us everywhere the individual will find an affliction as a blessing in disguise, which is a proposal for the most beautiful achievements for the upper spheres. So the next time we feel discomfort, we feel a form of pain and affliction, let us breathe in and out and ask, "What are you telling me, pain? What are you telling me? What is this sign? Is this the sign that there is something greater than what I'm expecting?" Thank you. Thank you for revealing to me a new road, a new pathway. So that's an exercise for us. Put our hands on the chest, and in the next 24 hours, let us observe. Oh, there is this pain, this affliction, this discomfort. I hold my heart and I say, "Oh, discomfort, affliction, welcome. What do you want to show to me? What is the new way to achieve higher understanding?" How often we're in a rush. We want to drive fast to get to our places, or we ride the bus or the metro, or we're walking in the streets, and nothing is working as we expect. Stop. I don't want life to be what I expect. I want life to surprise me. I want life to call me up and say, "Hey, there's a better pathway," but I need to be open. And in order to be open, I'm open to this new, which is going to get me out of the comfort zone. And that's what affliction is about. I'm frustrated in my expectations. I'm frustrated in the things that I wanted to accomplish and it's not possible yet. Some people, they want the green card today. They want to get married today. They want to have that child today. They want that job today. They want that friendship today. They want to be accepted today. They want to be understood today. And life is telling them, it's not going to be your way. But life is not sending you to the highway either. Life is saying, may I invite you to an unexpected pathway? May I? Who is this? The guardian angel. The protecting spirits that are allowing us to experience the frustration of our whims and saying, come with me. I have a new pathway to show to you. There's a new way of living your life that you haven't foreseen yet. But I won't be able to show it to you if I don't close this door. If I don't keep this window closed. Because as long as you keep coming through this pathway, you won't renew yourself. So it's life telling us, forget about that closed door. Open that new door. Don't be afraid. Fear is the lack of love. Fear is the lack of love. We learn it with André Luiz in the book Nosso Lar Home through Chico. Fear is the absence of love. When we are afraid, we are constricting the flow of love. So let us feel the flow of love from God to us like an umbilical cord that is constantly flowing through us. And I say, I let go of the fear to let in the love of God. I let go of fear and I let in the love of God. I let go of fear and I let in the love of God. And by doing so, I'll be open to the new. I've seen many people discarnating in their last days or last hours. As we're called to go there, pray, give the passes. In my 20 years in the United States, several have been the occurrences when people call us up as spiritists to go pray, give passes, and they are in their last days, last hours. And when I see people at the edge of their transition, at first, for some of them, there's that affliction. What am I going to expect after death? But once Mentor Joseph leads them into that transition, saying, don't be afraid. I'll never forget this beautiful passage when this lady, she was in her last hours, and she said, I am afraid. I want to rest, but I'm afraid I'm not going to wake up again. And then we told her, close your eyes. Mentor Joseph was saying, feel yourself as a baby in the arms of God. Feel yourself as a baby in the comfortable arms of God. It's safe. It's comfortable. You are not alone. Allow yourself to rest in these daily struggles and trust that you're loved and protected. And then he kept going on and on, and we saw that she was able to sleep. A few days later, she discarnated. For us, it was a lesson of trust. when we trust in God, afflictions disappear. And that's why he's saying here, usually, he says, however, if there is a struggle, we are the problems in our own lives because we want to quit the difficult works that will give us the treasure of experience. We want the easy road, the narrow pathway. And he's saying that's not good. He's saying we desert our duties in the smallest things. And that's when I have to say for parents and grandparents and educators, that's when we need to push our children kindly, saying, don't quit the difficult exercises, because in them lies greater muscles that you are acquiring. Just tell yourself, breathe in and out, tell your child, I can do it. I can do it. I cannot do it now, but if I keep trying, I will. Practice makes perfection. Sometimes you hear children saying, I cannot do this. How often have you tried? Once. Well, once doesn't count. Let's keep trying. And trying. And trying. The same we have to do it ourselves. So let us challenge ourselves in the next 24 hours. Let us identify the one duty we're trying to avoid. We're trying to desert. We're trying not to fulfill. Let us call our guardian angel and ask the guardian angel to help us see the other facet and see the possibility of a new training, of a new opportunity of growth. He says that we should appreciate our opportunity for growth, embracing the constructive affliction. Did you know that there is a constructive affliction? Emmanuel is reminding us there is a beautiful building block in this new sense of life, this discomfort telling us don't run away, stay there, and the healing will begin, throwing us to higher levels of evolution. So he finalizes by saying to us, some people think, oh yeah, I'm suffering, so I'm in pain. No, if I'm not learning, I'm not creating myself anew. He says, I need to turn my pain into a pathway of light. Can I give you an example? The man who had a wife, she committed suicide. Besides his pain, he asked himself, how come? She didn't find a way to talk about her pain before she quitted it. And he created 1-800-SUICIDE, the hotline in the United States that has been saving lives. We interviewed him years ago at Cardiac Radio, and it's still available in our podcast list. You can still hear. And today is September 1st. It's the yellow month when we are raising awareness on suicide. We need to ask people to talk about their pain. And if somebody doesn't understand you, talk to us at Cardiac Radio. Send us an email, cardiacradio@gmail.com. Send us a message, because we will hear you. And we'll redirect you to other friends who can help you out. But do not quit. But that pain that he felt when he lost his wife, he turned into a beautiful pathway of new life for millions of people. How many parents have their children who are in addictions and they created support groups for it? Or the sister who lost her other sister to breast cancer and she started the pink movement raising awareness on breast cancer. So many people who turn their afflictions into pathways of light. So Emmanuel finishes this beautiful article by telling us, let us constantly use the key of self-sacrifice in favor of peace and joy to those around us, because it is only by diminishing the trials of others that we'll be able to convert our pain into talents of love for the imperishable beatitudes. So we're being invited to revisit the afflictions in our lives and see them as opportunities for others. For others. How are you feeling? Hopeful? Yes, that's the plan for Emmanuel, to give you new power, the power in our afflictions. Tomorrow when we come back, Emmanuel is going to lead us into another chapter. If it's not enough, he's going to talk about the Divine Master. What is it? He quotes from Paul to the Ephesians. Stay firm. What is he saying? He's talking about a beautiful way to progress. What is it? Come back tomorrow and we'll tell you more. A big hug and a kiss. And until tomorrow, God willing, friends.